Have you ever been playing Left 4 Dead and you stumble across someone maybe slouched over by a campfire or someone with a gun next to them and ever wondered what their story was? Have you ever seen these dark or maybe disturbing places that have always not sat very well with you? Well, in today's video we're going to be looking at some dark and disturbing areas in Left 4 Dead 2. This video is similar to the past 3 videos that I've done, except I'm going to be focusing more on intentional vibes meant by the developer. There will still be some that are outside of the map. I think in today's video we have one of them, but overall I want to check out the environmental storytelling in the game because, as everybody knows, or as you may not have known, Left 4 Dead has really good environmental storytelling, and I think it's very important to highlight that. So we didn't hit the like goal in the last video. That's okay. I still released my bunny photo because thank you guys so much for the support. It's been absolutely amazing, but I'll make it easy. If we can hit just 1,000 likes, that'll be very appreciated, and I'll post another bunny picture. You guys really liked the last one. I got like 60 something likes on my community tab. So again, make sure you're subscribed, and as soon as I post that photo, you'll see it on your timeline. You won't have to come back, nothing. You'll just get the photo for free. So make sure you subscribe. If we hit the 1,000 likes, I'll post the photo, and without further ado, let's begin. So for the first dark and disturbing area in Left 4 Dead 2, we come to the very first map on Dead Air, which is a really good campaign in my opinion. If you come past the beginning of the spawn area, you can either go down the stairs or jump over the top here. It really doesn't matter. If you make your way through the map, the way you're normally supposed to go is down these planks. You continue through that building, you end up on top of a warehouse, and you continue with the level. However, if you turn to your left here, you might get some item spawns in this corner, or maybe in this corner, I'm not too sure. But if you look off over the edge here, so you see that there's a street here with a couple cars, maybe there's a Humvee, there's a van there, there's 2 kind of normal cars down there, there's some dumpsters in the middle of the street. But what we're interested in is that boat down there. So using console commands, if you make your way down here, this street is one of the most eerie and disturbing places because it's not destroyed. There's no giant craters in the middle of the street. There's no burning cars. It's just nothing. No one's here. No one's anywhere. However, there are a couple cars that you rarely see anywhere else in the campaign. This Humvee over here, however, you see in a lot of different campaigns. And of course, if we come over here, we can see off the map. And over there, there's a bunch of destroyed and burning buildings. But in this street in particular, there isn't really anything. All of this is context for the actual thing I'm interested in, which is this boat. And funnily enough, you can actually go down here. There's no steps, so you're just gonna drop down here. There's a fully working dock down here that you can actually step on, and there's no face on this building. But what I'm really interested in is this boat. And to many people, this boat might not seem strange, or it might not seem dark, or it might not seem disturbing. But to me, in my opinion, this boat is very dark and disturbing, and I'll tell you why. As you play Left 4 Dead, you can find very many assets that don't really mean anything. But to me, this asset screams out a story. A story that we as the players might not ever know, and you can only really know by using headcanon or things that you make up for yourself. If we're talking about reality here, the devs might have just placed this boat in a veiled attempt to add some fluff to the map, and in reality it might not have a story that they ever really cared about. But when I stumbled upon this boat on the outside of the map, it struck me very hard. Something about the old, rusted nature and where it's located in the map, on this dock right behind a supposed building. Personally, to me, it could have been someone's family boat. Maybe it was a ship that was commandeered after the infection started, or maybe someone owned it before the infection started. Maybe this boat was owned to one of the peoples in the nearby buildings that unfortunately didn't make it out. Maybe friends or families that tried to survive the infection knew somebody who owned a boat and unfortunately couldn't make it. Maybe a family friend told someone, hey, we have a boat, you want to come with us? We're thinking about leaving, getting away from the infection, meet us at 12 p.m. But those people never showed up. To me, it screams a story that not only the player can come up with on their own, but that the writers didn't take into account. And that's important because the death of the author is the birth of the reader. Now, the boat isn't an actual asset, or I should say it is an actual asset, but it's not a physical asset, so you can just walk right through it, and you can actually jump up and down in this water. This water here won't actually kill you. There's holes rusted on the side of their ship. That indicates to me that this was an old ship before the infection even started, because as you might know, the infection in Left 4 Dead 1 and Left 4 Dead 2 are pretty recent. As you play through the game, the infection is happening. So you still meet people who are alive and well. But ending on that extremely happy note, let's go to the next dark and disturbing place. For the next dark and disturbing place in Left 4 Dead 2, I want to bring you to the Parish campaign. Now, for a lot of the really in-depth followers of Left 4 Dead 2, you already know what I'm going to talk about in this segment. But for those of you who don't know, in the Parish, the military is bombing throughout this entire campaign. You'll see jets fly over, make a really big noise, drop bombs, you might hear the characters react in some sort of way. But the military is being a very big aggressor throughout this entire campaign. But what's so disturbing? Well, throughout the campaign, when you come to places like the one I'm about to show you, there are these bodies just laid out all over the floor, and if you're not really keen-eyed, or if you don't take a second to stop and look around, you might not notice that a lot of these bodies aren't zombies. Now, what do I mean, right? If you come up to these bodies, you'll actually notice that these were people. If you look at the injuries they sustained, it's just bullet holes. If you look at this guy, he's a normal guy, his face isn't malformed, his jaw isn't hanging down, but he has bullet holes in it. If you look at this gentleman here, he looks the same, he has good facial hair, nothing's really deteriorating, his body's not rotting in any sort of way, but he has bullet holes in him. If you look at this woman, it's the exact same story. Bullet holes, there's no deterioration of the skin, her face is intact, her mouth is intact, her nose is intact, her arms are intact, not segmented in any way, and some of these assets are pretty much the same, but if you look at this gentleman here, single bullet shot to the head, and that's not a big thing to grasp your mind around. I mean, it is a zombie movie. Hey, maybe some people just started shooting at each other, you know, maybe people got caught in the crossfire, people ended up dying, no big deal, right? Well, what adds to the disturbingness, what adds to the disturbing aspect of this place, let's read the sign together. It says, warning, restricted area, do not run directly at military personnel, do not ignore military personnel when they address you, do not make any sudden or violent movements. Now, this makes sense. If you do anything that acts like a zombie, they're gonna shoot at you, right? As we continue, you see people shot and hung over these rails, people slouched down, covering their chests. You see women shot on the ground, grasping at life. And again, these people aren't zombies. And as you come to this point in the map, which is a little farther than where we just were, this is one of the most telling places just by the number of bodies. It's crazy, you know, these people had lives, right? If you're acting as a person in this universe and you stumble upon this, you honestly might just cry. I mean, these people had families. They were trying to reach the loved ones. Maybe they had lost loved ones and wanted to carry on their memory, and now they can't because the people they put their trust in betrayed them in a moment of crisis. The military didn't want to give any chances, and so they didn't, but every action has consequence, and the consequences of these people, or wrongdoing or betrayal, cost them their lives and their story. The survivors will comment on this area saying things like, "Oh God," and showing a general amount of disgust towards this scene. Let's move on to our next dark and disturbing place.
A zombie chopper pilot? Ugh! You have got to be kidding me. We were almost home free, damn it.
So for the next dark and disturbing place is actually a pretty short one, and it's right here at the beginning of Death Toll. You crash with your fellow survivors, they might say a few different voice lines, and it's actually really sad in my opinion. It's this helicopter pilot, and if you go back into No Mercy, this is the same helicopter pilot that picks you up. If you come to the side over here, it is definitely the same chopper. It's the News Chopper 5. It has the same tag number, tail number. I forget the right terminology. But the reason why I felt that I needed to bring up this place in today's video, is because everyone has a story. That's sort of the theme or the message that I'm trying to get off with this particular video. This man's story is unfortunately done. It ended with this plane crash, but it started with from a place of good, you know? He was a guy who tried to help people, who frequently picked people up from the top of Mercy Tower and brought them to safety. But let's move on to the next one. Now for this next dark and disturbing place, it's less so disturbing and more dark. In my opinion, the darkest quote-unquote campaign is the one that we're in conveniently today, which is Hard Rain. As you spawn into the third map of Hard Rain, this single room in Hard Rain has one of the most writing in any safe room in the entire game. I've taken the time to read all of these for myself, and you can look at them, you can pause the video on screen, you can go ahead and read each one of these writings, you can zoom in on your phone. But even coming out here, the dark aspect is the vibe. In my opinion, this map has single-handedly the strongest vibe in the entire game, and I will argue about that. Just looking up into the sky, it's a dark skybox with rainy clouds. There's thunderstorms in the distance, lightning that you can see, and occasionally there's super heavy rain that'll fall down. And one of the most atmospheric moments is when you're walking through this cornfield back to the elevator and the rain comes down, you can't see anything, the wind is blowing, lightning's going on in the background, you hear thunder cracking in the distance, you find short shelter for a moment in the elevator and you begin to ascend. Unlike the Parish where there's literally families slain out for everyone to see, this one in particular doesn't have too many things, it's more of the map changing. And if you go the way you're supposed to, you kind of miss out on the vibe of this map in my opinion. If you backtrack the way that you came, which is usually through this area right here, you can see that there's a couple inches of water, and man, I just love the sound of that rain. The eerie music in the background, the rain hitting the metal on the sugar mill. It feels like you want to grab your friends and you want to just huddle in a corner. You want to bunker down, you want to get guns, and you want to just defend yourself. And a lot of people don't think about this. They think, oh, it's just rain. But they don't really feel the vibe of this map the way I do. And it's hard to explain it. But have you ever come home to your grandma's on a weekend? Or maybe your parents take you there on a weekend and it's raining and your grandparents are busy and you just sit there doing nothing. I mean, that's not the same as a zombie apocalypse, but it's a similar vibe. But that vibe changes things, and I think that says a lot for the map makers, that they can make such a strong vibe with such a basic premise like rain. The rain sweeping away the concrete and the pipes. Survivors get brief shelter as they make their way into safe zones with only a few weapons, like maybe this Uzi or this shotgun here. Now, I don't need to play through the entire map to get this point across, but I want to show you this next area. Just listen to the rain. Think of your early childhood. Think of you trying to survive this instance. Maybe you have a different scenario in your head, but try to put yourself in the perspective of yourself as a kid. But take a moment.
Storm coming! Find some place to hunker down.
So for the next dark and disturbing area in Left 4 Dead, it's actually a single event that in my opinion is one of the only two in the entire game that capture the actual vibe Left 4 Dead tries to portray as a game overall. And it's on the very first map in The Last Stand. And shout out to the dev in the comment section. I see you every time commenting on my vids. I really appreciate you. I think it's really cool that a dev has actually commented on my vids. I want to thank you again. Thank you very much. If you're watching this and you see me saying this, if you made this part, wow man, I just gotta say you did a really good job. If you didn't and it was one of your colleagues, let them know if you can that I say this is a beautifully done map, and I want to say that this part that I'm gonna show off is really well done. The one moment in this entire campaign that for me personally makes it really good is this one instance right here. Now everyone who played The Last Stand has seen that moment. Why is it so dark? Why is it so disturbing to me? Well, a lot of people know that you can find it later on in the map, and later on in the level as you come to the plane crash, you can find trees burning, you can find smoke, You can peer into the plane, you can look at it. But why did I say that I feel like it captures the overall tone or vibe that Left 4 Dead as a whole tries to convey? Well, Left 4 Dead isn't your stereotypical zombie game where every building has trees growing on it and vines coming out of the windows. The game is trying to convey a world that is currently falling apart. A virus that is rapid yet steady. A virus that is affecting the survivors the same way it's affecting all the other people in the world now. And this single moment of a plane crashing, just like in Dead Air, it puts an actual, tangible, physical thing in the game that shows that to me, and it puts it in your face. And it's dark, it really is dark. As you come to the side of the plane, you can find the pilot here, which is laid out on the ground. He's burned. It doesn't look like he's been zombified at least, and I'm pretty sure it was on fire when it went down, so something must have happened. Exploring the areas, you see these super cool assets, these burning ember trees, which are not too spectacular in the modern game standards, but look really, really cool in my opinion. You can see that the fire is starting to spread. There's trees across the river that are also on fire. There's bushes and shrubs that are starting to burn. And it's just a set dressing. It's just an environmental storytelling detail at the end of the day. But to me, it means a lot more than just that. And as I mentioned before, what I'm trying to get across with the theme of this video is that everyone has a story. And this man right here most definitely had a story. But that's gonna be it. I wanted to try and give a little less info to you guys in today's video. Well, what do I mean by that? Why would I do that? I want you guys to really take a look more so at what I'm showing you rather than what I'm telling you. So today's video, you might have noticed that I still said a lot, but I wanted to say a little bit less. Maybe I accomplished that, maybe I didn't. Remember, if we hit 1,000 likes, I'll post another picture of my bunny. You guys really seem to like the first one. Trust me, he's cute. If you go to my community page, you can see that he's on there. You can take a look at him. If we hit another 1,000 likes, I will post another photo, I promise, just like the one I first posted. Again, make sure you subscribe so you actually see it on the community page. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you made it to the end of this video, my next video that I've been working on simultaneously with this video will be a Helldivers 2 vs Left 4 Dead 2 video, which is going to be really amazing, but it's going to take me a while to edit and record. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for sticking through to the end of the video. It genuinely means a lot to me. Have a nice rest of your day. Peace.